Hey, good morning, everyone. Was kind of waiting for the folks who are going to talk about the Netfeo demo. So maybe give them another minute and then we can continue with the rest of the agenda and come back to it. Although we don't have a really long agenda. Let me go see if I can get a hold of Sridhar.
I can give a quick update on the GitHub charges.
Yeah.
That was regarding OMIC project, I believe, and uh, still we're seeing that everything that's running is being discounted down to zero.
Do we know why?
No, I have looked it up. There's places where they list coupons, which can just, be special things applied to your account. There's nothing listed there. Um, yeah, I'm not aware of this being something that we had specially set up with GitHub, but it could be, and we have seen this sort of thing in other places where um, they have basically applied something to the account that we can't see on our end. But yeah,
Well,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
that's new for us, right?
my memory is that way back in the ONF days, a long time ago, we got a kind of grandfathered um, exemption, and I don't remember what orgs that applied to. I didn't think it applied to this one, but maybe it did.
yeah, I mean, looking at the dashboard, it pretty clearly says that, we'll get about $16 a month as 2,000 included actions. Sorry, 2,000 minutes of included actions. And then it shows that we've used $61.52 this month, and $61.52 have been discounted.
Okay,
And
well,
so
that's
there's
good.
zero
And the
dollars in billable
number,
usage, and it seems to just I, I haven't seen it hit that. I've seen it go above that and still get discounted down to zero. So
it's not such a huge number. If that were to change all of a sudden, it would break the bank. So let's just keep our heads down and hope for the best.
yeah, I was gonna say like it's annoying that it doesn't show anywhere, so we can't be sure, and I could ask someone, but frankly, I'd rather just not
Yeah,
not pull
yeah,
any attention towards it if as long as it's continuing to give us zero charges.
yeah. Well, let's keep an eye on it, and so there are no surprises. But yeah,
Hmm.
let's accept that gift horse and take it. Thank you.
Yep. And we do have budget alerts on there, so
Okay, good, good. So you just moving on down the agenda here. Uh, Ujang posted some updates on SD-RAN. I'll just let you read them for yourselves. It sounds like they are back because he's in Korea talking with the students that are doing the coding. Progress is now picking back up again, so that's good. And if any of you, and I know the uh, ARA folks have been interested in this, have requests. Now would be a good time to talk to Zhang about it so we can get it on the agenda for what they're working on. SD core.
Hey, yeah. So we are continue working on with the canonical team, kind of leading the way for enabling the, replacing the gRPC based communication for the REST base. Most of that it's almost completed, but there is three notable functions that are still kind of like pending: AMF, SMF, and PCF. So work is going on the SMF. Then after this is completed, we're gonna remove the gRPC server from the web console. So that is really good progress. And then something that also happened during the last couple weeks. Again, from the canonical team, they enable a open telemetry capability for the AMF to kind of get more telemetry from the different components, such as it's easy, easy to kind of debug and troubleshoot issues that may happen or performance that may degradation that may happen. So that's something that was added in there. Then the other part I didn't put in here is the iOS MCM team. They open a PR to support multiple DNNs per device group. And that is something that is work in progress. And the only thing is that they basically deal with a kind of like relatively old version of the code base. So most of those PRs are not necessarily aligned to the top of the branch, the different branches. So that's something that we mentioned to them, and that since they are also relying on some kind of capabilities from the config 5G, basically gRPC communication, we told them, that basically this work replacing gRPC with REST is kind of ongoing, and we may need to wait for these three network functions to be completed such that they can actually put the changes on top of that. So they open several PRs, the iOS team opened several PRs, so those are kind of like an independent state. Among those PRs, there is one PR on the UPF that is kind of independent, and that's basically something that Ajay and myself start kind of putting some feedback on that, so for them to address. Yeah, besides that, we are.
Just on this, just for a second, it would be great if we were a little bit more in sync. Is there any way we can help them keep pace with us, or is that just asking too much?
What do you mean exactly with keep pace?
Well,
Who?
you said that their PRs are against an older version of SD core.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah,
I,
I
do
don't
you
know.
have
I don't know
any,
why.
it's not on you, but I'm just wondering if there's any sense as to, are we at risk here if they forked and um, they will not be keeping pace with the changes that we're making?
It seems like that's happening. So, I mean, at some point I did see, well, several months ago, probably last year, I saw that they fork the Ether, the OMED project repositories. And in the changes that they are kind of providing, they are pointing to some of their own changes, right? So, for example, the config 5G repository, which is the repository that has the client side of the gRPC communication. So they are pointing to that specific repository instead of pointing to our repository. But um, I don't I don't know how they are exactly doing those changes, because again the idea would be to use the latest version of on our cases, right, of the repository. So I'm not quite sure why how they are doing the work on this specific case. So I'm not have too much, to comment on that. Maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can.
no, I get that. I hadn't. It would be great if they were if we could find a way to have them be a little bit more plugged into what's going on here. I mean, the Nephew, um, demo, which I was hoping we were going to have today, was the there are LF people involved. But my understanding was the engineering work had been done by the same folks, the iOS and CN people, and yeah, but just as raising a high level point here, it'd be great to get them a little bit more in sync with what progress is that we're making here.
Uh, yeah, but I thought that's why we have the TSTs, right?
Well, it is. That's exactly right. This is the place to do that, and this is just a red flag that uh, this is not working for some reason.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can try to kind of contact one of them, at least a few people there, to see what's going on and see how we can better sync up on this. But yeah, so most of the PR that I saw, if not all, I didn't pay full attention to those, but those were using kind of like older versions of well, the CMAP that's gonna update it, but I think most of them were using a little bit older versions of what we have.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
especially the control plane on our side has been moving kind of like a lot lastly, thanks to all the different canonical contributions. Um, so yeah, so that needs to keep a faster pace on that to use the latest versions.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else on core?
On the core, no, I mean, in general, we're in good shape. Most of the stuff is completed. There are a few things that we need to kind of keep improving, but that's kind of like ongoing work that is happening in there.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
On ramp, there's really no
I,
activity report
I,
on.
Ajay is also here, so I don't know whether he has anything else
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I was just looking at the changes from iOS Simpson team. They're not big changes as such. I think maybe we have to take lead to take those changes in. If we just leave it to them, there's a likely chance that they may not show too much interest in addressing all the comments. Probably we can attempt it, giving comments to see if they can address. But otherwise, changes are not in the area of the config at least. Or whatever few changes are there, they are not so serious. So maybe we should work with them to get these things early, um, or maybe we should wait and make. Is Canonical done with all the changes for the gRPC changes?
No, there is
Yeah.
three network functions that are still missing: the AMF, SMF, and PCF. SMF is in progress. AMF and PCF is still need to be done, right? Um,
Then we should allow Canonical to complete their thing,
yes.
and then make sure that core is up and running,
Hmm.
so that even our Simpson guys can test it in case we give them any comment.
Right. So
Live.
that's yeah, that's why when Anaswara opened the PRs, but I mentioned that in one of the PRs and also mentioned that in Slack that mentioned that we are in the process to kind of migrating from gRPC to REST and pointed to the different PRs and give some additional details. So if you go into the I think it's Ether. No, it's not ITRF. I think she opened the PR on she mentioned that in the ITER on ramp channel that they opened these multiple PRs, and that's where I kind of comment, mention it,
Yeah,
give it a status update basically, and also you commented in there.
yeah.
So yeah, so basically to try to kind of see, hopefully the canonical team can complete the three NFs that are missing. Yeah, as I mentioned, one is on the way, and two still need to be open the PR. So hopefully we can complete that soon, and then we can, based on that, they can, the iOS team can make the proper updates on top of that. Because they do rely on some kind of gRPC new fields to not necessarily new field, but different way to structure, especially the DNN instead of as a single element to show it as an array. and that's need to be changed on the config NF. But in this case, sorry, in the config5gc, in the config5g repo, which is gRPC, but that needs to be reflected into the open API um, file, kind of to create these new structs.
Okay. I think yeah. Okay, let's get the canonical thing done, and then meantime I can comment on their PRs. But we'll tell them that we'll merge only after canonical changes are in.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and these are good changes to have because they have IMS support, which was like long-term ask from many ONF community members.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Larry, I'm done.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just on on-ramp, there's no new activity to report. Everything's been quite stable. ARA, both blueprints ready for review. I took a quick look. And I mean, they are blueprints in a generic sense of the word, but they're not on-ramp Ether blueprints. And it's up to you as to whether that's something you want to do. I would love to have the Ansible playbooks and the makefile make targets that would elevate them to Ether blueprint status, if you will. It looked like there was a step-by-step process, but a lot of those manual steps have been subsumed by various playbooks and roles. So I'm not sure how to proceed with that. Do you have any updates and comments on it?
Yeah, actually, we are about to like change it to make it like more similar to the like your blueprint.
Okay, and I'm happy to interact with you on that, on what it implies. And there was a set of, I forget, 6 or 7 things that a blueprint typically has, but it's not like cast in stone, so there's some wiggle room there. So if there's any questions that come up as to how to make this conform, please reach out.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is if you can share like one good example, like what exactly you want it to be, yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we can do this offline.
Yeah, sure.
I will share a canonical example with you that hopefully will be helpful.
Yeah, okay.
So just to back up for just a second, just at a kind of a high level overview, let's take the SD. Well, let's take either one of the blueprints. Maybe start with the SD core blueprint.
Yeah.
It includes the core, and what
Mhm.
else does it include?
I think that one including the core and also how to make it connected to the Ericsson base station.
Okay, so that's the combo. It's the Ericsson base station and the SD core.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then I can point you at that an analogous parallel blueprint for that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and in some cases, it is the case that part of what needs to be configured is outside of the scope. So while we could bring particulars about the Ericsson radio into a playbook, sometimes for radio specific things, there's still a manually you have to get the radio into this state and then everything else works.
Yeah. I'm not really like play with Ericsson base station, but I guess usually it cannot only be done through the playbook.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's fine. Like if you can send the example, I can work with Joshua to figure that out.
Okay. Anything else from your want to report on?
No, that's
Okay,
Larry,
let me
I
make a note
have one.
here.
Larry, I have one question on this, like on ramp, right? Like when I'm checking, it's still using relatively old Kubernetes. Can we plan to update it like to recent one? When I see code, I think it's still 124 version, and recent is 133.
I'm sorry. What numbers?
Kubernetes version?
The
The
version,
version.
what?
Kubernetes.
Oh, it runs on 24.
Yeah, and recent is like 133. So like,
Yes.
yeah, maybe it would be good idea to see if there's something broken within the SD core or maybe overall Ether. Because
Yeah.
we should probably plan once in at least quarter or once in a 6 month to upgrade.
Ajay, just to give you some background about this. So we did update the Kubernetes version not long ago. At that time, I believe it was 130, 20 something, 30 something. So upper 20s, lower 30s, right? The thing is that I was unable to go to the latest version because I couldn't find any Helm charts for the monitoring part. So meaning that the Grafana and Prometheus, so there is the ranching monitoring component and the rancher monitoring CRD. So I couldn't find any Helm charts for those two components that are compatible with the latest version of the rancher. So um, feel free to kind of give it a try and try to move to the latest version of Rancher. But just kind of letting you know that I faced this issue with the everything works, but if you without having the Rancher actually, give me one sec. I should have those
You say
PRs.
without having Rancher, like you were
Without having
installing
Rancher, that was fine. Yeah, I basically I was able to just give me one second. I can give you the specific details. Um, just one sec, sorry. To closed. Okay, blah, 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 where are you?
it's okay if you're not finding, but I understood like you tried it and looks like you
Yeah,
have
so
some challenge with the
okay,
Rancher.
perfect. So at that time, so actually, if you want, I can share my screen. Larry.
Yeah,
Uh,
let me stop and then you can have it.
yeah. So let me share this screen. Yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you see at that time, I did kind of like try to update to this version. So 131, well, it seems like basically only works with a 2404. So Helm, I was able to update to the latest version at that point of Helm, but Kubernetes, I mean, Rancher itself, I was unable to do that. Then that's what I was able to get to all the way to 124. What else? Let me see if I can. Yeah, okay. So, and this is from February. As I mentioned here, 131 basically when I tested it worked only with 2404. And at that point, I believe Larry was on the process of enabling the new Jenkins pipeline. So we didn't have a Ubuntu 24 runners. Probably now we do have.
We do,
But
right?
but besides this point, besides 131 being compatible only with Ubuntu 24, it was that the issue was again the Helm charts for the monitoring part. That's what I had issues with. If you go, well, here I don't have any changes on the monitoring side,
Like
but that's
the rock monitoring part.
no, not in Rock. So as part of, let me see, just if we go here into the VAR's main file. Uh, so when you go down here, you have this monitoring component, right? So that's for the AMP. So that's independent of the rock. So well, an AMP has two components, has the rock and the monitoring. So the rock is kind of to push data and the monitoring is to collect data, right? So if you are interested in looking into this, make sure that the CRDs and the rancher monitoring and rancher monitoring CRDs, you can find a compatible version for the latest rancher version. So that's the other issue that I face. And as you saw in this ER that was kind of highlighting here. So here, as you can see, I went to 125 something, but this is when I faced the issue with the rancher monitoring Helm charts, compatibility version. So, and that's why if you see now the latest version that we're using for rancher is 124 something. So there is two things. So latest was kind of issue I faced it. I tested with the Ubuntu 22 and Ubuntu 24. It worked with Ubuntu 24. I didn't get I don't remember whether what was the issue with Ubuntu 22. And then I went down to 125. But later on, again, this version didn't work with the Helm charts for the monitoring for Grafana and Prometheus, and that's why I had to go down to 124. So if you find a way to kind of, now the Jenkins pipeline supports Ubuntu 22 and Ubuntu 24, so probably we can go up to the latest version of Rancher. But make sure that when you do this, make sure that you test the monitoring side. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, unwinding all that, we should probably revisit this. We now have 2404 as part of our standard, and maybe we can find a more recent monitoring chart. Those monitoring charts come from Rancher, by the way, just to be clear.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They come from there, but I couldn't find any specific version that was compatible with the latest Rancher version itself.
Yeah, okay. But I think we have 2-3 tasks here, like minimum move to 24 because 22 is anyway very old. Moving to 24 and then finding out the missing
No,
charts
we are already in
or
24.
compatible charts. Oh, we are already okay.
We are already in 24, right?
Okay.
So we already did one upgrade to the latest that we were able to without having issues with the Rancher monitoring. That was the kind of limitation.
When I said 24, I mean Ubuntu 24.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, feel free to kind of take a closer look into that. I haven't had time to kind of revisit that, and I completely forgot about that. And again, especially
Because Rancher has like started pruning those old images and all. That's what I can see slowly. So at some day it will just stop. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So noted. Okay, so jumping back to ARA, is there anything more that you need to report?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I don't know what's up here. This could be a major time zone issue, but I will follow up. And so let me just give you the background here. So Nefio is another mechanism for orchestrating Kubernetes workloads of various kinds, including potentially SD core. In putting together a demonstration of Nefio deploying SD core, they have defined some Kubernetes operators, and those are not part of Nefio, so it didn't make sense to store them or make them available as part of the Nefio org. But we were going to potentially, I said we could certainly host those as part of Aether. And so we were going to have a discussion about that, but I think it makes sense to wait until we get the demo for that. And I will try to get that lined up for another time.
Yeah.
And just as another sort of meta point, this now gives us on-ramp, Nefio, and Juju Charms as 3 different ways of deploying the core and configuring it. So we need to just update the documentation to highlight that somehow. that there are other means. Is there anything else? All right. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you again next time.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.